where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, still continuing in the description of the servants of the Most Merciful, says, those who are neither extravagant nor are they stingy in their spending, but they find that perfect balance between the two. كَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. And the scholars say that it's interesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not define the middle except by defining the two extremes. And there's a lot of room for interpretation there in regards to what are the two extremes and what is the middle. And that's part of what we're going to be digging into, inshallah ta'ala, here. But essentially, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Ibadur Rahman have good spending habits. They have healthy spending habits. And this is a really beautiful halaqah, inshallah ta'ala, because it goes into a beautiful element of tazkiyah. And I always enjoy when there are elements of tazkiyah that typically do not get spoken about when speaking about the science of spiritual growth, like food and consumption and how to spend and things of that sort. Because this is not talking about charity. This is talking about your spending habits. So the Prophet ﷺ commented on وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا, that this is a person that is situated between the two in regards to extravagance and stinginess. And he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ذَلِكَ الْحِكْمَةِ, that's wisdom. That is wisdom. So a person who is able to find that balance between being extravagant and being stingy, having healthy spending habits, that is a person with hikmah. That's the description of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, why would the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam call it hikmah? Hikmah, wisdom, in the Arabic language, when you use the word wisdom, it means that it governs something. So hakama, the horse's reins. If you have ilm, which is the horse, knowledge, which is the horse, you need hikmah to balance and to guard that knowledge and to use it properly. Hikmah also carries a level of authority. And so when the Prophet ﷺ says it's hikmah, that means that a person has a good understanding of balance, and they know how to keep things in order, and they know how to not let things get out of hand. And of course, when it comes to the areas of spending, that's where you start to see that people really can get out of hand with their spending. And subhanAllah, I spent a good amount of time reading articles on good spending habits because I was just curious, subhanAllah, how much of those articles that talk about good spending habits could be integrated into the science of tazkiyah. And one of the reasons why I did that is because a person's spending habits are usually indicative of other things regarding their personality. Okay, so people with bad spending habits usually have implications of that far beyond their wealth. Okay, so a person's spending habits are usually indicative of other things regarding their personality. So let's compare like the top 5. These are my top 5 good spending habits, extracted not from me, but from articles about spending habits and things of that sort, and connect them to an element of tazkiyah, connect them to an element of our spirituality. So number 1, they always tell you living on a budget, that a person with healthy spending habits lives on a budget. And from a tazkiyah perspective, what does this translate into? Restricting your desires. Restricting your desires. وَلَا تَنْسَى نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا, that you approach things of this world as not being negligent. So when it comes to matters of dunya, you are not extravagant, you don't have high hopes in this dunya. You restrict both your expectations of this dunya as well as your consumption of material things. And so living on a budget, i.e. restricting your desires and restricting your consumption of this dunya.